Oh no. Hi, hello. Welcome. I'm Rhonda Travitt, Dr. Rhonda Travitt. I'm on tonight. Want to talk about a few things, and I pray that you would hit your share button. Um, Hello, Miss Nikki and Brother Gene. So many. Y'all just say hello. Hi, Mr. Christie. Everybody, hit your share button. There's some things that we definitely need to talk about. Welcome to Transformation of a Nation, if we want to call it that tonight. You can even call it Straight Up No Chaser. You can just call it Live with Dr. Rhonda Travitt. Some things been on my heart. And I was saying recently, it's a share button. Good evening. One of the things that I want to talk about that is not being talked about, and I don't know if it's just that people are uncomfortable with talking about it, but there's some things that we really need to talk about, and that is the mental state of the people that are in COVID. Okay, as a counselor, people are dealing mentally. There were issues that were underlining initially. And I want to call this about, I want to talk about sociopathic behavior. And I want to also talk about pathological sociopath and psychopathic behavior, because we're seeing a lot of behaviors that we don't know and don't know how to put a name to. So, and we just think is, oh, that's just them, or they're just having a day, but they're not just having a day. Sometimes they're having an episode. Sometimes these things have escalated because they've had time to be with themselves. Hit your share button. I do believe that everybody needs to know tonight about being a sociopath and just having this narcissistic attitude that we have the right to hurt people in this season. There's so much going on. Hit your share button. There's a few of y'all on him. I want to talk about what is a sociopath. What is a sociopath? A sociopath is a term used to describe someone who has antisocial personality disorder. People with ASPD can't understand other people's feelings. So we've been going through a phase. Now, let me talk about how COVID comes into this. Now, there were already people dealing with their emotions and could not cope, and had people problems connecting with other people. And so now with COVID, you see where they're telling you everything, but they don't tell you the effects of the brain. But let's just talk about it, because if it affects your taste, if it affects your smell, then you have to know that that is affecting your brain and the way that you think and the way that you process and everything. And so emotions are very heightened in this season. So if you never dealt with the antisocial aspects, now let me explain about sociopathic behavior. Sociopathic behavior, it really doesn't respect the norms of the laws of your boundaries, because they are antisocial, and most of them have become very manipulative because they're antisocial. They have time to be at home, they have time to be in their heads, so they become more aggressive. Sociopath, so they're moving from the sociopathic behavior to the psychopathic behavior, which is more aggressive. Sometimes sociopaths are just antisocial. They don't know how to socialize, or whatever room that they are in, they become whatever to whoever that they are in the room with, or they sit back and they watch and they learn how to manipulate a room. Sociopathic people, they're antisocial, but they always want to be in the limelight. Let's talk about it, because it's too much happening. If we don't begin to talk about it, you're going to talk about people dying on a respirator, but then we got to talk about the people that are mentally going through certain things, and then they walk up and they shoot you, or they stab, or do whatever they do. So let's give this example of the two young girls just recently in Chicago, where the security guard simply asked them to put on a mask. They're 18 and they're 19. Put your mask on, coming in the store. What would cause them to become so violent and irrational to this that they would begin to beat him? And I think they killed him. So we have to talk about this mental aspect and snapping. If it affected your sense of taste, your sense of smell, what is it that you don't know? And your doctors keep telling you every week that there's so many things that you don't know. Okay, today we saw in London, in France, where somebody just went into the church, decapitated a lady. You have to understand that there are things and powers that are working right now in this atmosphere, and things that you don't understand. And every time you get on the news, they're telling you something new. Things that they knew. So do you think they're going to tell you that it was this thing is going to affect you mentally? No, we just have to begin to use our common sense, as opposed to waiting on a news media post to come out and tell you these things. Okay, I came on a long time ago and I said, this is airborne, it's in the air, you're going to breathe this, and then things are going to happen. So here are the effects from COVID. Yes, we all had things going on. Of course, we all had things going on. And COVID has only intensified. It's the same way that if you had an underlying disease or something, diabetes, heart, respiratory infections, well, you had some mental things that were already going on, some emotional traumas. Let's talk about some PTSDs. That had never been diagnosed, but now it's intensified, and you couldn't tell anybody. So now it's not about talking to anybody and telling anybody now, because the story is telling itself. Oh my goodness, it is telling itself about where we are and the things that were unresolved. And if you have an antisocial personality. Now let me talk again about antisocial people. Lies, deceivers, use false identities or nicknames and use it for their personal gain. So a lot of people that you're meeting right now, even in the midst of COVID, they are liars, and you're meeting them and they want to do things, and it's all for their personal gain. And you would think during COVID, and here's where some of us have been disillusioned. You thought that people during COVID, that you wanted to really help, you wanted to reach out, but there's another spirit, there's another mindset that is operating on the inside of them. There's something that has happened in the air that has antagonized and progressed, has caused them to progress in that mental place that they were. If you don't touch it, it's not won't move as fast. Let's say like with the diabetes, if it wasn't COVID coming and attacking that, well, it's the same thing. What I was shown is the same thing that happens in the mind, but people don't understand. And when you start talking about the mind, now you're trusting people that they say you're paranoid. It's not about being paranoid. It is most definitely and certainly about being aware, watching as well as praying. You know your mental state more than anybody. And the thing about it is if people don't begin to come to a place where you're okay, and that you find somebody that is not so bad off as you, hit y'all share button, because people need to know this tonight. Y'all know I don't come on here just talking, but if we don't get to the bottom, then you're going to think that there's something wrong with you. And perhaps there is. And there's no cure for this. There is a diagnosis for this. We can diagnose it because, see, sometimes you don't understand why you do, why you feeling, why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Let's talk real good tonight. And so, people that are sociopaths, they don't make long-term commitments to nothing. They're there, but then they make long-term commitment, long-term plans. They often behave without thinking about the consequences. And I think that's what happened even in Chicago. What would make a life become so not valuable because I asked you to put on a mask? Or what would make you, what would make somebody turn on you? I remember Marika, a couple of years back, I hope you remember this, but a couple of years back when you were walking and this person just came out of the blue, and I think you were walking downtown to your job, and this person just came out of the blue and this became very erratic and irrational. So now if they came out like that, erratic and irrational, what do you think that COVID is doing to our brains? I'm just talking. Nobody's going to tell you this, but somebody has to tell you, because God said, I do nothing. Yes, the homeless guy. We have to be aware and think about what I know a lady that called me yesterday, where, and this is a professional environment, where a lady just snapped and she was just all up in her, like she wanted to fight her. There is an aggression that cannot be described. We are living in the times when in the book of Galatians, where it talked about lovers of themselves, not lovers of God, and truth breakers, and with lawlessness. They just want something to come after you with. And even yourself, it's like you're anxious and you don't want to be bothered with something. Just stuff just irritates. So these are signs of COVID in the mental aspects of it. So you say people are dying, but people are also dying mentally, and because nobody understands their mindset right now. And they don't know how to tell you that I'm hurting, but I can show you where my lungs, you can get a diagnosis, you can go and you can get an x-ray and see it, but you can't see how people are functioning in their minds. Come on, you guys. They can't see how people are functioning in their minds. They show aggressive and aggravated behavior, like constantly getting into fight or physically harm one another. So the antisocial, the sociopath, is becoming more aggressive than normal because of this COVID situation. And people are like, oh, COVID has nothing to do with the brain. If you're going to think that COVID has nothing to do with the brain, then you have to talk to some of the people that say, well, I can't taste, I can't smell. Those were the symptoms I had. So the symptoms that they had were not respiratory, they were not short of breathing, it was brain. And so you don't know the long-term effects of not tasting. Did it just say that it not taste, or are things happening in the background and you start to feel irritated? Let us just talk about it. They don't even consider their own safety anymore. So if people don't care about their own safety, I believe that there's so much violence and people that are already mental, like we have in Philadelphia. We got to talk about these things. If like the guy in Philadelphia, he had an episode. So we already had people that were going through mental things and had mental issues. But now with COVID, we're not putting those two together. And God has to align our minds. We have to come in alignment if you're going to know how to fix and how to be aware, because I think sometimes we are so accepting and so inviting, and you want to fix other people. And it's not about fixing other people. It's about, I can pray for you, but I can't fix you right now because there's something deeper going on the inside. And then it starts to work and the brain starts to twist. And then they see you in a different light, and they see their parents in a different light. Your husband sees you in a different light. You're right, Miss Kansas. They're fatigued, they're tired, they're restless, they can't sleep. So all of these things have to do with the brain, that I can't sleep. So we must begin to be aware. I mean, I wanted to come on tonight because I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of clients, and I myself, I'm in COVID. You're in COVID. So when a guy gets his head beat up by two sisters because they asked him to put a mask on, when somebody's sitting in church and being decapitated, when somebody is setting up in their church and somebody comes in with a baseball bat, we have to be aware of the unrest. We have to be aware of even the mind control. Let's talk about this thing. Hit your share button. We better talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, you will end up being a victim of it. The problem is what we don't like, what we don't want to accept, what we don't want to acknowledge, we choose to ignore. And you think if you ignore a person, that a person is ignoring you. And let me talk about sociopaths that are narcissistic. Narcissistic sociopaths, they always have it in for you because you said something to them. Let me make this clear. Whenever you have said something to a narcissist, and narcissists cannot stand to be corrected. Let's talk about that. Narcissistic, sociopathic personalities. Narcissistic means they're grandiose, they're so big in their own minds, and you said something and you don't even know what you said. You just might have said, oh, you have lint on your shirt. Well, that took the narcissist into a whole nother realm, because it felt like you embarrassed me, or you disrespected me. You should have got me off to the side. No. That's a narcissist. That is and then they don't have people skills. And let me tell you, narcissists are not original people. That's why they deal with jealousy to the degree that they deal with it. With that, now let me say this: if you want to recognize a narcissist, let me give you some signs. They're grandiose. That anything that they do, they want that to be noted. They want it to be on TV. They want it to be seen, and they want everybody. Why? Because there's such a level of insecurity. Hit your share button. Let's get 100 people on here tonight. Talk about these narcissistic personalities that we are meeting that are also dealing with a sociopathic, because they're insecure, low self-esteem, low self-worth. So they have to buy, they have to do this, they have to do that, so that no one judges them, or they give this illusion. They love to elude people into believing things. One thing about narcissistic people and sociopathic people is they are master manipulators. Why am I saying this? Because many have been manipulated, and they say, you disrespect me. No, you don't disrespect them, you just disrupt them. That's the thing. There's a difference in being disrespected and disrupting what you are training, because what they do is they like to train you like a dog. It's a strong illusion. It's not real. They're not real, but they give this perception about themselves, but that's not who they really are. It's not. So they become, and they want to train you, and sometimes they want to connect to you. Oh, let's talk about it. I'm gonna slow down. They want to talk, they want to connect with you so that they can eventually evolve, and they flatter and they want to control you. But remember, let me say this again: when a narcissist feels violated or disrespected because they have to be the king or they have to be the queen of everything. So when they feel disrespected, then you have an enemy. I don't care how or what. You have an enemy. You may have forgotten about them, but they have not forgotten about you because they are they're sociopaths. So they live in their heads. Most of the time, they don't even know how to be friends. The only way they know how to be friends is to throw stuff around, like show you stuff that they have. That's the only thing. And that will draw people. And they like weak people. If I can get a weak person, then I'm good. So you get that weak person and then you get control. But never let a weak person get with a person who is strong. Then that's when they feel disrespected because you're breaking. It's like an animal. They are training them. They have trained them. I have told you who you were. I gave you the identity. I told you who you were. I made you understand. And so now somebody is coming along to free you from a mind to say, you got a mind, you're better than this and you're better than that. And so now the narc becomes angry at you. It's been years since you've seen the narc, but the narc has not forgotten about you. Because one thing about it, when you're a child of God, you'll expose something and you'll say something, but narcs are not accustomed to anyone saying anything to them because they don't like that. Because you begin to expose their insecurities where they clothe it up in a lot of sometimes big mouth stuff. They're big mouth people. A sociopath can be a big mouth or an introvert. They can be covert or overt. They can be covert, which means they're inside. They're very calculating and they're thinking about this. They're thinking about you. They're calculating. They're watching your every move so that I can know how to control you. I know what to say to flatter you. Come on. Y'all know any? Yes, they are show-offs. Oh my God. And every idea that you have, you will see that idea. I'm telling you, just like tonight, I'm on here talking about this. Somebody may get on here tomorrow because it's a narcissistic personality. It's a sociopath. It's a psychopath personality, and they will repeat because they don't have original ideas. What else can help you to identify a sociopath so that you don't get in the way? Listen, this is deeper than somebody just doesn't like you. They want to hurt you, and they don't want to necessarily physically hurt you. They want to mentally hurt you, knowing that you already have some things going on. So if I can mentally hurt you, then I can bring you into a level of submission and I can walk over you. And this is not the season. So COVID is always in view of this. Hit your share button. Let's talk about this. They're always planning how to be better than you. When they are around you, let me tell you, they go get the weakest link. And the weakest link who has no identity ends up a slave to the one that is a sociopath or a psychopathic personality, because I want you to succumb and do whatever I say. Oh my gosh. Yes, so they don't consider their own safety. Everything is a game. It's some kind of rush in what they do. The rebellion against, oh, I'm not gonna wear my seatbelt. That's something. Hit your share button. I don't care about this. We going up high tonight. Because people need to deal with the brains, and you need to understand the brain and the mindsets of who you're dealing with. And you need to consider some of the things that I'm saying tonight. Please consider some of the things that I'm saying tonight so that you don't become a victim of circumstance, and so that you have self-awareness. And these are people that I'm dealing with. Is that okay? They don't follow up on personal or professional responsibilities. They don't follow up on very much. You know, if they tell you that I'm going to be there because they know you need them, then they're going to intentionally not be there on time so that it can hurt you. But if you're not there for them, then you disrespected it. You disrespect. Y'all hear that word disrespect a lot. That's not a word. It means what they're really saying is you're disrupting my flow. I am training this person to be what I want them to be, and you are disrupting my flow. So you become an enemy, Minister Catherine, to a person that you speak high to, and that you say, oh, you're so great, but the other person is telling them you're horrible. So then they say, I don't want you hanging with this person. I don't want you talking to that person, because the person is liberating you. So this is a narcissistic, sociopathic personality. Oh my goodness. Let me help y'all. They don't feel you crying. How about this? You crying, you want them to feel some form of remorse. Sisters, let me talk to you first. A person that is a sociopath and is praying and has a narcissistic personality, you can cry a river. And they cannot relate because they are disassociated from their feelings. Can I say that again? Hit your share button. They are disassociated from their feelings. They don't feel the way that you and I feel. There's no real empathy. There's no real sympathy for that. So they have to calculate, even in their minds, the right emotions. Can I talk to you about it? They don't. If you say, "Oh, I lost my my dog, I lost my cat, I lost my father, lost my mom," they have to process the emotions because they feel like that's a weakness. It's unnecessary. Why all of that? They don't understand. But you want them to cry and to feel your pain. They cannot feel your pain because they are sociopathic. They are disconnected from their own pain, so they cannot feel your pain. Oh man, I've been on here 27 minutes, but I'm talking good because I feel like there's so much happening in the mental aspects of COVID until people are not talking about this aspect of it. We're only talking about the physical aspects of it. And after a couple of counseling sessions and people on that are professional and people wanting to attack them on their jobs and then reading where they're coming into churches and you don't understand what is causing. Could not this be a part of COVID? Now they're just crazy. No, they're not. Sometimes this is in the air. They don't know everything. Oh my God, oh my God, my God. So I'm very careful. That's why your friends change to the magnitude in which they change. All right. So honesty, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have some of these traits. You don't feel emotions like other people do. And so with this COVID thing, you feel like you should have some feelings, but you don't have feelings. Because all that crying, they don't like weak people, but they prey on weak people. Listen, sociopath, narcissistic people do not like weak people, but they prey on them. It's part of it. Oh my God. They don't feel guilt or remorse, being cold by not showing emotion or invest in the lives of others. They don't invest in anything. They want you to invest into them. I had to come to terms with that being a pastor. And you have to go back to your book. Sometimes you have to go back to your medical book. Sometimes you got to go back to the prayer books, which is the Bible. You got to go back to the manual. Now, sometimes people do not have those emotions. The only thing they want is what they want, and it doesn't matter. Loyalty is a crisis for them, to be loyal, because in a narc's mind, they're not listening to what you say. They're saying how they are better than you. Oh, let's talk about it. That's what they say. I'm better than you. So when they think that they're better than you, then they're going to act out because they think they're better than you. I don't have to listen to you. What I'm listening to you. You don't have a degree. You don't know this. You don't know that. Oh, that's all she does. And she's just a nurse. Oh, she's just a teacher. Oh, she doesn't even speak well. Blah, blah, blah. They don't do this. So that's that narcissistic, sociopathic, and all they're doing is sizing you up. They think that they are greater than you. You want to be their friends. It's very difficult to be a friend of a narc without being manipulated, or a sociopath without being manipulated, because they can be quite charming. But if you watch, they can only go. They don't know how to have relationship outside of what they really care for. And that is minimal. Even in their relationships, I don't know a sociopathic person, nor do I know a narcissistic person that has ever been faithful in their marriages. Narcissistic people can never be faithful in their marriages. You know why? Because when a narc is a narc, he's always comparing, or she's always comparing everything. So even in business, the narc compares how you do the work. That's why it's not good to tell narcs your dreams, because before you do, they're going to be over here somewhere, because remember, it's always competition. Oh my God, it's always competition. So the narc is already planning what you told them your dream was. The narc is already planning how to supersede what you told them. And then now you're hurt because you thought that that person genuinely cared about you and that they really wanted to see you win. No, I don't, it's not like that. It's about comparing themselves. And you say, well, what's the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath? There's no clinical evidence that there's any difference between them. Now, a sociopath, let me give you some definition here. There's no clinical definition between a sociopath and a psychopath. A sociopath may be someone who only makes minor transgressions and don't cause serious harm or distress. But a psychopath may be described as someone who is physically violent. Now, we see more psychopathic behavior now during COVID than we have ever seen. We see more psychopathic behavior. The aggression is greater than what we've ever seen. I'm not talking about gangs. They are trained to do all that. That's what they do. I'm talking about your average little housewife. I'm talking about two little sisters that's going in Starbucks, probably, trying to be little divas or whatever. And all of a sudden, someone asks you to put on a mask. What makes you snap to that magnitude that you went to sociopathic behavior and begin to assault the security guard? There is a hatred for accountability because he held them accountable for somebody else's health besides their own. And these are 18 and 19-year-olds. Oh my God. This is something that we really need to talk about. We really need to talk about because no one is talking about it. Sociopaths get more aggressive. Psychopaths are in their head. They're very cunning and manipulative, but they watch and they are observers and they mimic everything that you say and everything that you do. They are cunning and no one is off limits to them. And of course, a psychopath is is just someone that will hurt you. And all of this is during COVID because it is getting worse. Does a sociopath need treatment? What's the treatment? You can give them a psychologist, and you can give them something for anxiety or something like that. But I first believe that you have to humble yourself in order to recognize. Remember, anytime, everything that you had to do, you had to acknowledge. When a person has not acknowledged that they have an issue or that they have a problem in a sociopathic way or any way, okay, I'm having these tendencies, or I'm having this tendency. No one wants to talk about it. So who do you talk to? So they give you a medicine to calm you down, but it's still suppressed. Because you still want to hurt somebody. You still want to do something to somebody. So we have to deal with the sociopathic, the psychopathic personality. Because if you don't deal with the sociopath, it can progress to if you don't deal with the sociopath, you can progress to the psychopath. And then that's an aggression where you hurt somebody. And I think that there's so much, and it's something that is altering the brains of people even now. You could talk to me about giving me supplements and everything else, but there has to be something that we do. With our brains, if you have to start reading more, if you have to begin to meditate, there is something that you must do with your brain because you can feel the aggression. And let me tell you what the aggression feels like. The aggression, according to my statistics, let me pull on my data because I'm talking to people, is that I'm angry. I just don't trust. They hurt me. I'm doing this. I don't like this. I think they think like this. So they said it's almost a paranoid feeling. And sometimes you have a reason to be paranoid. I think a lot of pastors do have some reason to be paranoid because they go through a lot, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, they want you to put up medication. I'm sorry if I'm freezing on y'all. Hit your share button because the devil is a liar. We need to free up some people because if not, they're going to have you on medication. They're going to tell you that you need to be on some medication, that your children need to be on medication, and they don't need to be on medication. What we need is to have a meeting of the minds of somebody to tell us that something is going on. Is that okay? Something is going on. The perception has to be right. So the sociopath. Psychopathy consists of talking with a therapist or a counselor, thoughts and feelings that can be exasperated. You know, you can be exhausted telling, oh, I'm sorry, freezing on and off. I bind it, Satan, the Lord rebuke you, and the blood of Jesus is against you in the name of Jesus. So I'm giving God all the praise and the honor and the glory. So what was I saying? Psychopath. Yeah, you can try to treat them, but you got to say, how do I cope with them? Well, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do with them? Well, Gene Burroughs, yes. Okay, new comments. All right, there you go. Yeah. Meetings of the minds. Meetings of the minds. So you have to realize, you got to acknowledge that they may not be able to fully understand emotions. And that's a hard thing because you be like, I know you know what I'm talking about, right? I know that you understand this, but they act like they don't understand. Why do they act like they don't understand? They act like they don't understand because they are emotionally detached. You really think that you're going to talk a sociopath, a psychopath into understanding hurt. And some of you were in relationships and the person was a good person in a lot of ways, but they had antisocial skills and they had reasons all the time not to go around other people. Let's make sense of this thing. They had reasons not to go around other people. They wanted to stay at home, or they loved being in control at home. See, that's that sociopathic behavior, because they're controlling, and then they make you feel like it's something wrong with you because you want to go out and you want to see the world. Oh my gosh. I hope I'm making some sense to y'all. Let me minimize my screen so I can see if y'all saying anything. Okay, good. I'm talking. Okay. All right. If you have a question, please put it over in the box. I've been on 40 minutes. I'm going to be on an hour tonight. Explain to the person how their behavior affects others and causes harm. You can explain to these people until you blue in the face. And often, even your explanations to them, in their minds, because they manipulate all the time, they think you're manipulating them. So, in the process of this, while you're trying to help them, because they are master manipulators and it's what they do, it's their life, then they think that you are manipulating them because it's what they would be doing to you. They don't care about that, even when they're giving you some counsel. They don't care. They think that you're manipulating them even when you're talking to them, trying to give them and trying to make some things better. Let me pick this up. Oh, I hope I'm making any sense. Hurt people. Absolutely. Hurt people. But there's a condition. It's like bipolarism. These are conditions. And they were underlining conditions that have just come to the forefront. You remember that they talk about underlining conditions. And so in the brain, there were underlying conditions. People were borderline bipolar. People were borderline this. And so now it's coming to the forefront. Now, what are you going to do with it? Oh, man. Oh man, so yeah, with some people, you're never going to win. You can be the best person, you can be talking, you can be trying to encourage, but because of who they are and the way that they process, and even sometimes you can go up their tree, it's what they know. The whole family at some point probably should have been medicated, but they never got help. So if you really look at them, then the whole family is messed up. And so the dysfunction becomes their norm. And so the whole family is a house of manipulators, a house of deceivers, a house of selfishness, a house of grandiose narcissism. Oh, am I praying I'm making some sense? Because I'm going to teach this. Because I am seeing this so clearly now. And I think that's going to be in my book. Because what I am seeing is that people are without a natural affection. And because you can still feel and hurt and you can still cry, you thank God for that. Because some people can't cry no more. They're so full of them selves, or they're so full of anger and hurt until the faucet and until whatever is happening in their brain is causing them to shut down. You know, like, okay, certain parts of your organs start to shut down. Well, this part of the brain, the sensitive side, the emotional side, the caring side, the logic, the reasoning side, maybe it starts to shut down, and then it doesn't make any sense. They do not have a conscience. You're trying to tap into something that has been contaminated. And I believe that people can be, I think that there may be long-term effects from this. Yes, I do believe that there could be long-term effects. There were things that were happening before. They are disassociated from life. They are disassociated from parenting. They are disassociated in their marriages. They go through the motions, but anybody that's in the marriage or the children, they know that this is not affection. This is This is methodical. This has become robotic. It has become mechanical. So the person does not feel. So this is this antisocial, I'm going in. And when a person that was outward usually goes in, you have to worry about that person. Okay. Y'all can put a question in if you want to put a question in. With the problem is we never establish boundaries. I'm good. I'm not going to tell you I didn't establish boundaries. I established boundaries. You're not popular when you establish boundaries. But you have to establish boundaries for sociopath and psychopath and narcissistic personalities. Especially because all of these spirits, all of these personalities compound, and you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get the bipolar. You don't know if you're going to get the manic. And all of us have dealt with the depression. And that's why I say stop playing with depression, because depression, oppression is leading into suppressed sociopath behavior, to psychopath, to some people that were already narcissistic. And narcissistic people feel like they have to control your life. Why am I talking about this? Because you need to be safe. You need to be safe. You need to understand that there are people that you had dealt with previously that you are not safe with now because of some of the things and the way that they acted. You know they were borderline before, but now it is like full bloom happening. Somebody's trying to fight you on your job. Two professional women. I'm a nurse, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, I'm a doctor. Wait a minute. Okay, pressure will bust a pipe. And the pressure and the things that are airborne. Wait a minute. I'm going to need us to stop talking just physically, because we have to talk emotionally. We have to deal with the areas in the brain of what has happened to our brains. You're outside, you're in the air, you're breathing the air, you're taking the walks. Me too. So people are just snappy. You know, you can look at them. You used to say, hey, how are you? How's your day? Good to see you. Now they're looking at you like, it's almost like the living dead, the walking dead, those zombie pictures. Now you're looking at people. And I do believe that there's a form of mind control. Something is happening. Something is happening. And we have to deal with whatever is happening and be aware of what is happening. Has it been programmed for you? Has it been programmed for me? I'm still curious to what makes anybody before COVID, during COVID, after COVID, what makes anybody go in that you so sleepy. I ain't never been that sleepy that I went to my neighbor's house. I might have got in a ditch, but I ain't never been that sleepy that I went into a man's house and then I shot him. Then I didn't recognize my house. There are things. And so I believe that there are a lot of things, and things are being programmed, and now we are seeing the processes of the programming, and you're seeing the process, and we're seeing some manifestations that were there and that was undercurrents. Now, I understand again, if you're sleeping and you drive your car in a ditch, but I do not understand how you can be sleeping, walk into a man's room, shoot him dead, and then walk out. I don't. I've been drunk. I've been high. We've all done something. But I never, and I know I've done some stuff, and then now she wants to be out because there's this sense of entitlement. And I don't care if it's popular or not. What I want to say tonight in this 1 hour with you is you are dealing with sociopaths. I need you to look it up. I'm going to come on every week and we're going to talk about it, because narcissistic personalities are And they all collide together. They keep it together, you know, in a sense. They feed off of each other. At times, they don't even have to say a word. They just feed off of the negative. They feed off your goodness. They feed off of your kindness. And that's something I was telling my husband. I said, honey, I think sometimes people can just feed off of your kindness. And narcissistic people hate righteousness. They hate anybody. They hate any kind of accountability or authority because they always feel like they have to be on top. Oh, let me say that again. Come on. What about a sociopath? A psychopathic narc is dangerous because they're psycho. They're psycho, the way that they think. They're aggressive, and I'm narcissistic. I'm arrogant. That's a dangerous person. And then they hate any form of accountability. You'll find most of them, they know everything about the job, but they can't keep a job because they will go and try to take over the job because they have narcissistic tendencies. They have narcissistic, psychopathic tendency, and they're always plotting. And here's the thing about a narcissistic person and a psychopathic personality. A psychopathic personality will go all the way in their mind to destroy the owner of the company because they are not creative by nature, but they want by design, by the very lower nature that they operate from. They make you think they're grandiose, but they operate from a lower nature. I have a particular sociopath, psychopathic, narcissistic person that I know. And no matter what, because you will never get away from them if you ever correct them. You will never get away from them. They will always be plotting something because you said something that they felt was disrespectful, but it wasn't disrespectful. It's just disrupted because they don't think you see them. Come on now, let me talk to y'all good. They don't think you see them. They think everybody is lower and operates from a lower level than them. And so when you can see them and you call them on it, then it's an embarrassment to them. They don't want to be corrected because I am the queen. I'm the king. Oh, yeah. I pray I'm making sense. This is why it is so important about who you are connecting to. Because at the end of that thing, they show you all the time who they are. But you can't always keep talking about the narc, the sociopath, and the psychopath, because you got to think about you. What is it about you that allows them to do that? And what is it about you that makes excuses for people to treat you like that? Why is it that you cannot establish any boundaries? What is it that, how are you being programmed? You have to think. I almost envision, you know how I have a little puppy and I love animals, but they have this little collar that I thought was so cruel. And I assimilate that with what narcs, sociopaths, and psychopaths, and I'm gonna give you some other ones, do to their prey and to the people that they love. It's like they have a collar on them. And when you get out of control, they turn up the electricity. And you don't even recognize the person because they're saying some of the cruelest things to you. And then yet you are protecting them. And then people that deal with narcs and sociopaths and psychopathic behavior that is progressing during COVID often become and start to deal with Stockholm syndrome because they're in love with their predator, with the ones that prey on. They're in love with the shock, and they believe that they can fix it. You can love it away. Oh, y'all mad tonight. Don't be mad, just get free. Honey, let me tell you, you cannot fix a narcissistic person because a narcissistic person thinks you're stupid. Narcissism, the master manipulators, but they play two roles. They're overt and they're covert. They're victims and they're victorious. You know what I'm saying? They're the victims. They're professional at acting like victims. That's the overt one. Covert means I need everybody, all eyes on me. I just came in. It's one thing to have confidence. It's another thing to need people to bow to you and to be subservient to you and to beat you. It's a whole different thing. And he never did that. He never said anything. You remember this song Lauryn Hill said, "Killing Me Softly"? That's what they do. They don't have to say anything. Because what you need, they never gave it to you. Oh, hallelujah. Shabbat. Woo! They never gave it to you. So they kill you softly. I hope I'm making sense to you guys tonight. So they kill you softly by not saying nothing. Because then now you got to keep making conversation and asking questions. You want to make something right, and they look at that as weak and begging and control. Oh, I got to help us and free us tonight. You trying to talk. You trying to have a conversation. You trying to fix something and make it right to a person who has no real emotions or affections, and they're self-centered, self-absorbed. Sickness doesn't help them. Nothing helps them. Children does not make them a better person. Them being sick, you think, oh, they're sick. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to love them back. I'm going to rub you. I'm going to take care. Nothing helps a narcissistic person. And let me tell you about them. You are only a disposable piece of property. And once they use you and get whatever they want from you and flatter you, they throw you away. And you don't understand how they threw you away because you thought you were friends. Now let's talk about the friendship stage. I got about 3 minutes. So some of us had friends and you thought that you were really a friend, and you were never that. You were an avenue. You were in the mind, just a stepping stone to help them to get where they were or where they want to be. I'm making this thing so plain. So you had girlfriends that you thought was your girlfriends. Now they don't have any problems walking away from you. They won't even speak to you. And you had time. Me, I'm straight up with you. When I'm done with you, if you do something to me, I respect you. I'm going to leave you alone. But at the end of that thing, I'm just going to block you. I'm not going to do all that. You know? Yeah. Everybody wants friendship. But I think you have to learn to be alone. You have to learn who you are so that this sociopath, psychopathic, narcissistic personalities, bipolars, because you don't know what you're getting, and it's causing you pain, and it's almost splitting you. Can we talk? It's almost splitting and disrupting you because you're wondering what's wrong. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Are y'all getting something out of this tonight? I need y'all to be getting something out of this because I want you to understand, and I need you to understand. I deal with the mind. I deal with people when I'm counseling. That's what I do. And so even when people don't say, and I'm looking at them and I observe it, I can see a shift, and people's minds are shifting. And that's why people are like, I need to do something. I got to do something. No, you don't. When you're in that state, you don't need to do anything but be still. I gotta. No, be still, because that anxiety, it makes you move. It makes us make decisions that we don't need to make. See, my job, you got to understand what your job is. My job is to build up, to expose. I always dealt with the mind. Because why? Because that's where the enemy always fought me when I was younger, in the mind. And so it was prophesied to me that you would free people and you would break the back of the enemy and you would free people in the battlefield of their minds. And so that's why you say, how does she know? Because I have been taught. And I learned obedience through what I suffered. And being a pastor, you run across all of these personalities. You got them in your family. You have them everywhere. Y'all hit y'all share button. I'm going to stay on here 15 minutes. Because I want to make sure that you know and that you be still in a moment. Because the spirit of oppression and depression is the beginning. Anxiety, where you're restless and the sleeplessness is coming. And then I don't want you to be the aggressor, because the enemy is trying to get you to become more aggressive. Oh my goodness. What y'all think about that? What do you think about that? You do move a lot? Okay. So that's why I'm saying in this season, you have to be still and you have to say, God, please give me discernment. I need the discernment so that I know who I'm moving with. Because when you're moving and the way you move, you got to know how you're moving. How are you moving? If somebody doesn't do it, then I'm gonna. It's my assignment now. Is to come and talk and to really open. And I thank everybody for allowing me that opportunity to come tonight and just talk about the mind. Yeah, he wants you to be the aggressor so that he can accuse you, so that he can abuse you and misuse your testimony. And that's why it's so important for you to breathe and meditate and step back and look. And you got to know your company, because I promise you there are people that are designed to come and bring that and cause those emotions and have you up at night. Am I making sense to you at all? They want to have you up at night. So that's why your company, you can't vibrate at such a lower level. It means I can't go to the negativity. I need somebody that's going up. And you need to know your company, because after I want you to start paying attention to after you talk to somebody. How do you feel? I don't care about longevity. I don't care if it's mama, daddy, sister, brother, children, husband, wife, cousins, best friend, whoever. How do you feel? Because your spirit knoweth So how did you feel? Even though they said all the right things, because everything is heightened, what did you sense when you led? Know them that labor amongst you. You're not going to go anywhere. We can't divorce our families, but you can be selective in your company. That's what I've learned. So it didn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money they have. If you're vibrating at a lower level, I need you to think that I'm bad company, because I am bad company because of my vibrations. Am I making sense? Means that I'm encouraged. I have a spirit that operates from such a higher level, because it's joy. And then when I get around you, it pulls, it sucks. You know that you're starting to come down. You're starting to feel drained. And that's not the objective. So that's why it's so important to realize, okay, I need to categorize myself. First of all, I need to deal with whatever I'm dealing with. Am I a sociopath? Am I a sociopath? Am I a psychopath? Have I become inward? And have I become manipulative? Have I become angry inwardly? Am I a narc? Do I really undercover think I'm better than you? Do you really undercover have no feelings or emotions? You have to go back and you got to ask God, God, please help me to feel again. Help me to love. You feel drained. There are signs and flags with women and men. When you feel drained, it's not that's not it. You should be feeling like, okay, with my tribe, I'm feeling real good. I feel like an overcomer. I will not allow a narcissistic person to come in and define me, because they're operating from insecurity, low self-esteem. Let me say something. It doesn't matter the car that they drive. It doesn't matter the academic accomplishments. It's mental. It's mental on every level. On every level. And that's why they always want to talk about you, because you vibrate, you're moving from a higher dimension, and they are not accustomed to it. All you got to do is look up a tree. Most of them, and you know what? They like it like that. They like it that the rest of their family is not doing as good as they are, so they are narcissistic, so that they can tell what they do for their family. Oh, I had to do this. I had to do that. And they need me for this. And they need me for that. No, they don't. You put them in a situation. You don't help them. You don't tell them some of the things that you know, some of the things that you could do. And you like that. Or they like having you like that. Just people in your family that could say, okay, do this, and it'll make a whole big difference in your life. Just like I'm coming on and I'm saying this. There are people that know you and they know. But there are some of us that we have to establish boundaries. You have to establish boundaries. And if you do not establish those boundaries, then God can't help you, because your obedience is better than sacrifice. And remember what I said, accountability is a definite sign. And I don't want you to think that because I'm a pastor, I'm talking about church. I'm talking about even in counseling. You can give them an assignment and they won't do it. Accountability in any area is an offense to them, because of their minds being mental. I have not seen so many mental things in people, and it's worse. It's just dressed up now. I'm like, why are you dressed up? Why? Because you know what? The more dressed up you get, the more messed up people know you are right now. It's one thing but you dressed up because you know that I'm getting more messed up. So I feel a need to dress it up because I think everybody's seeing me. Stop it. People saw you before. It's nothing. You're beautiful. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Establish your boundaries. I got about this 10, so I got 5 minutes. I've been on here an hour and 9 minutes. I'm going to be on here an hour and 15 minutes. If you have a question, please put it in the box for me. I need us to deal, and I need us to be careful in this season. Oh, I want you to come on and help. I'm coming on, and I'm saying it's narcissistic people, and they run game. I don't care. The games that they run, and you have to be careful, especially with a sociopath and a narcissistic personality. A sociopath, they have no people skills, so they do what you do. So when people do what you do, then there's something about you that becomes subconsciously obsessed. Write that. Subconsciously obsessed. You said, why are people obsessed? People can become subconsciously obsessed with you. It's subconscious. You're on their minds. So whatever you do, they do. You have to be very careful. And I mean, when you think about it, thank you, Miss Thomas, subconsciously obsessed. If you say, who am I? Who am I, brother? Say, you're somebody that has an anointing, and this person has no interest in what you're doing, but their whole objective is to abort it. While you're trying to compromise in their world, they don't compromise in your world. Oh my gosh. This is what I've learned in the last few weeks, and especially dealing with people. You compromise, and you think that's the great Christian thing to do. Being a Christian does not mean that you compromise. It means that you have a stand and you have a standard for something. You have to have a standard. Many are on assignment. I agree, Miss Jackson. They are on an assignment. And the hardest thing is that to accept that they don't want you to win. But I don't know why. Everybody else knows that they want you to lose. But because of the Stockholm syndrome, you think you can fix them. You think you can save them. You cannot. What is Stockholm syndrome? Stockholm syndrome is when you become fascinated and you almost fall in love with your captors. You fall in love. You have an unnatural connection with your abuser. You have affection with your abuser, with the people that cause you pain. You have an unnatural thing. What is it about you that wants to be with people who don't want to be with you? They don't like you. You keep on trying to make them. You keep on trying to go and force your way into relationships where obviously people have told you, this is not what I want. Stockholm syndrome. I believe that we have it. And people do not want you to win, but you gotta want to win. A collar around you, and when you get out of control, they know how to hurt you. They know what to say to cause you pain. They know how to stop you in your tracks. Don't move. They train us like animals. The devil is a liar. We like it And when somebody loves you, you hate them because you are accustomed to the opposite and you don't trust love. Oh my God. You don't trust love, but you trusted the one that gave you Stockholm syndrome. You trust that. You trusted the one that gave you bondage. You love that. You gave everything to the one who wouldn't give you nothing. But to be loved, that is not something you have to question it. You put it up under the microscope. You got to do all of this and you do all of that in order to figure out, is this love? You know it's not love, but it's sick. But because love has hurt so much, and abuse has become your idea of love. So when you meet somebody that is nice, a nice woman or a nice man, is something in you that says, I can't like him like that. I don't like her like that. Well, because you have been trained to be abused. That collar started so early. Maybe you saw your mama. Maybe you saw your daddy. But it started so early until you are stuck in a place with people who don't even love you. And you think that's going to make you feel better because of the image. That is Stockholm syndrome. Because image and your ideal. You have an idealistic, and you want everybody to see this idealistic facade. All right. I'm done. I'm hoping you guys were blessed tonight. We're going to come back on. We're going to talk some more about, I think I'm going to stay in this area. We're going to talk about Stockholm syndrome. We're going to talk about sociopathic behavior for a minute. We're going to keep on. I don't know. I'll probably come on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, but I need to try to help every last one of us. And why am I coming on? It's not about them tonight. It's about self-inventory. Please believe that. Please believe that. This ain't about your person. This is about you, because the only thing that's going to change the information that I gave you about narcissism, about sociopath, about psychopath is not going to do you any good until you get that idealistic facade out of your mind and deal with the devil in you and the devil that you're dealing with. COVID has affected the natural affections. And I need you to be aware when natural affections have left. If taste can leave, perhaps there's a season that affections go. If smell can leave, perhaps there is a season and something that happens that twists that brain and you don't feel, and you're trying to love, or you trying. So this is not about anything or anyone else. First lesson is about you. Always. Always. So your taste can lead toward the person and anyone else. I'm praying that you were blessed. Tell me that you were blessed. Tell me that you were blessed. I was blessed. Say, did I help you tonight? I wanted to give you something to talk about. I don't need to come on here preaching a sermon. I need you to talk about our real mental life issues, because you're losing relationships and you're holding on to relationships that are sick and toxic. Oh, I didn't want to bother you, Pastor Nick. I just didn't want to bother you, Pastor Rhonda. But you called somebody else and they talked about you like a dog. Are you serious? You call people You have to allow people to love you, but you also have to observe in the areas where you have not been able to love. And you also have to observe in the areas where they have not been able to love you back. And maybe they will get that sense of love back. Maybe they will not. COVID is real mentally. I think that's what I'm going to call this series. COVID is real mentally. So we're going to talk and we're going to delve in because I just hit the surface of some things tonight. But dealing with these things, I really think that we all need to go a little deeper. So tell somebody next week, Thursday, 9 o'clock, I'll be back on. Put it on your calendars. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to give you information because people are talking about the physical, but I need to talk about the mental. And I think all of us have encountered mental backlash and emotional trauma. Okay? All right, I'm yours truly. I'm Dr. Rhonda Travitt. I'm for Transformation of a Nation. I'm also a straight up no chaser kind of girl. All right, I pray that you were blessed tonight. I pray that you are encouraged. I pray that you make the necessary changes and the necessary adjustments. I will see you, if the Lord say the same, next week. I guess I'll call this Transformation of Nation. Hey, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's why your taste and your smell gotta come back strong. You got this. I got you. Let's work on it, and we'll work on it together. Tell a friend, say she'll be on next week. I'll put it up. It'll be on either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm back. We're back with a vengeance because you know what? You got to deal with things during these holidays, and I want to prepare you for the holidays so that you can be okay. Does that make sense? I need you to be A-okay during the holidays. May the blessings of the Lord make rich and add no sorrow. We bind backlash and all forms of retaliation against it. I pray that you will hear from the spirit in which it was spoken. I pray that you would have joy. I pray that your eyes of your understanding is so enlightened. I pray that you could see beyond. I pray that you don't pick your friend as your foe and your foe as your friend. May you have wisdom in this season from above that is and not from beneath. I pray that you be blessed beyond measure. See you next week. Same place, same time. If the Lord say the same. God bless you.